Good morning. It's Tuesday, chapter 7. Emily instantly reached her arms around in front of her, but she could feel that filled the locker through the seams and vent holes. It happened so quickly that she had time only to catch one shallow breath, half air, half water, before she was submerged. So it was true. The ferry was really sinking, and her parents were out there, less than 18 miles away on the island of Sumatra. And if you're wondering how far 18 miles is, it's like Athena to Pendleton. And they might never know what happened to her. She began to kick the locker door. There was just enough room to brace her back, raise her knee, and push hard against the door with her foot, over and over. It felt like her leg was moving through the water in slow motion. An angry voice yelled, "Kick harder, Emily! Kick the door off its hinges! Get out of here!" Hers. How long could she hold her breath, she wondered. Isn't 4 minutes the longest a human brain can go without oxygen? A flash went through her mind of a film of tanned children with coarse black hair, pearl divers in Polynesia, holding their breath for nearly 3 minutes while they rummaged through the reeds. She had seen it in a documentary. These children, who had no time or money to go to school, broke their eardrums and risked their lives for pearls, and still had nothing to show for it. "You see there," said the gentle voice in her head, "you had time to dwell on those Polynesian children before you died." Her body wanted air so badly, just a little bit of air. Her mind knew better, but her mouth opened anyway. Water poured in and clutched at her throat until she coughed out the last of her used stale air, air she wanted to keep, and swallowed another mouthful of seawater. She kicked some more, this time violent, angry kicks. "Dang those Polynesian children! Dang them all!" screamed the angry voice with each kick. The next thing she was aware of was being near the surface, choking, searching for air, then vomiting. How could she be sick in the water without holding on to anything? It was a joke. She was heaving and drowning at the same time. Her wet clothes were so heavy they clawed her down under the water like huge hands, pulling her while she thrashed against them to keep her head up, to breathe what mostly felt like foam and water while she starved for air. She tipped her head back and pushed it up to the surface as hard as she could, pursing her lips above the swell and gulping real air before an eternity. With her chest achingly empty, it felt as if it had collapsed. Seeing only white bubbles in front of her face, she broke the surface. She spluttered and coughed, gasping for air. But she was saved. She kicked off her left sandal. The other sandal was gone already, perhaps caught on the locker, and her right foot was cut and bleeding. She couldn't tell how much. She was wearing just her leggings now and a scant sleeveless undershirt. Her kurunung had been ripped off her head somewhere between the locker and the surface. At last she could freely tread water. Greedy for more than just air, now she had plenty of that. She wished more than anything she had a life vest. She looked around her. It was dusk. There was a glow of orange and red on the horizon, with garishly pink, wispy clouds above the glow. People were moving all around her, floating and trying to keep afloat. There were splashes and yelling and an odd sound of fizzing as trillions of tiny bubbles escaped from the sinking ferry. There were bodies, face down in water, bobbing in the waves, and there was the sun on the horizon. Setting is lovely. It gets cold, but remember when we looked at the map and where Sumatra is? It's in the southern hemisphere, so it's kind of like summer there. The ship was upside down now, with the bottom sticking out of the water, rolling back and forth at a very low frequency. And low frequency in this case means to the left and to the right. People were trying to climb on the bottom to pull themselves out of the water. Why were they even near it? Emily wondered. Surely they could see it was going to sink. The ones who managed to pull themselves onto the ferry bottom were standing, helping to pull up the friends and family and pushing strangers away. Emily looked around in desperation. If only the rescue boats were here. If only someone could make them all calm, save them before they hurt themselves, make them do the right thing. But what was the right thing? Emily did not know. She was crying now, heaving hot sobs that made her choke on her own mucus. "Olivia! James!" she called, just to hear their names. Then she went under. She had been crying too hard, so hard that she couldn't catch her breath, and her airless body had sunk like a rock. "No," the angry voice in her head spoke up. "No, I won't drown. I won't let you drown." She came up to the surface, took a huge breath, and coughed up a wad of the thick crying mucus and spat it out. Idiot, she hissed to herself. No crying, she thought. She had come this far, and all she had to do was hold on until the rescue boats arrived. The fairy made an ominous groaning sound along with the bubbly noises. She could feel the vibration through her body. Instinct was to swim away from it as fast as she could and without looking back. It was going down, and she didn't want to be sucked under with it. She didn't want to know. Then she remembered her British couple. Catherine! Richard! She called. If only she could be with them, they could help her. Hadn't they said they would take care of her? Oh God, but what if they hadn't made it? Had they gone inside that first class lounge? How could they find their way out? What if the boat flipped all the way over while they were still inside? She couldn't remember whether the boat had been upside down when she was kicking the locker door. Perhaps it was, and the first-class lounge was filled with water too. Richard! Catherine! She yelled desperately now. She knew she could hang on if she had company. If only she had company. Company! Ha! Her angry voice said. Look around you. There's company everywhere. The people in the water had started chanting now. La ilaha illa Muhammad Rasulullah. There was wailing and moaning and crying, but also a prayer chant that dozens of people made. La ilaha illa Muhammad Rasulullah. It was so moving and at the same time so hopeless. She wished they would stop. Allah would want them to do something besides pray. If you're wondering who Allah is the Islamic word for God, basically. Something to save themselves and to help people around them? No, maybe he doesn't want prayer. Maybe he's a selfish God. Or maybe they thought prayer was all they had. She didn't know. Suddenly, she heard her name. She caught her breath. It was Richard. I'm here, she screamed. Richard? Thank God she made it, she thought. She heard Catherine's voice. Emily yelled, It's getting too dark. I can't find you. Where are you? They called to Emily, both of them. Catherine was there, and she swam for their voices. When she reached them, Catherine was crying. Neither Richard nor Catherine was wearing a life vest. Oh God, Emily, oh God, you're okay, Catherine said. They couldn't hug, it would drag them down, so Emily and Catherine reached out a hand to each other and squeezed tightly, briefly. And we'll leave you there until tomorrow.